Regular meeting number 42 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Father Kevin, is it Lutz? Father Lutz, if you would come forward to the podium. Father joins us from St. Mary Catholic Church. Father, would you be willing to lead us in prayer? Welcome.
Thank you. O Lord, send your holy angels to fill this room. Send your holy angels to guard and protect our city. Let them not only fill this room, but may we know their angelic presence, watching over, inspiring, protecting. And as you many times sent angels to announce good news, may their presence inspire us to bring good news to the people of this city. We ask you, Lord, to have mercy on the soul of Sherry Mitchell, a devoted member of the community of arts, theater, ballet, and the cultural life of Central Ohio. As we remember her in her recent passing, we ask you to bless her family, give them great peace in this hour of pain. And in God's presence, may she enjoy that perfect happiness before the Lord, who is the source of all beauty. Set your seal upon the men and women of our police and fire department who especially protect us. Guard them always. Bless the generous men and women who serve in public office and who are gathered here tonight, and especially bless Fran Ryan as she takes up again the responsibility of public service. Bless all the people of our city, dear Lord. Make us wise and good citizens, generous to respond in need, and desiring always to seek the common good to enrich the city and make it pleasing in your sight. Grant us peace, O Lord. Grant us unity, for we ask this all through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Clerk, call the roll.
Hardin, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Hardin, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
We will now ask the clerk to read the new committee assignments into the record.
Finance Committee, Councilmember Priscilla R. Tyson, Chairperson, Committee Members Klein, Paley, and Ginther. Health and Human Services Committee, Councilmember Priscilla R. Tyson, Chairperson, Committee Members Ryan, Paley, Ginther. Workforce Development, Councilmember Priscilla R. Tyson, Chairperson, Committee members Page, Hardin, President Ginther. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Councilmember Shannon G. Hardin, Chairperson. Committee members Tyson, Ryan, President Ginther. Small and Minority Business Development Committee, Councilmember Shannon G. Hardin, Chairperson. Committee members Tyson, Page, President Ginther. Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Zachary M. Klein, Chairperson. Committee members Paley, Page, and President Ginther. Public Utilities Committee, Councilmember Zachary M. Klein, Chairperson. Committee members Paley, Hardin, President Ginther. Development Committee, Councilmember Zachary M. Klein, Chairperson. Committee members Hardin, Tyson, President Ginther. Recreation and Parks Committee, Councilmember Jiza N. Page, Chairperson. Committee members Ryan, Klein, President Ginther. Education Committee, Councilmember Jiza N. Page, Chairperson. Committee members Tyson, Ryan, President Ginther. Administration Committee, Councilmember Eileen Y. Paley, Chairperson. Committee members Tyson, Ryan, President Ginther. Judiciary and Court Administration Committee, Councilmember Eileen Y. Paley, Chairperson. Committee members Klein, Page, President Ginther. Veterans Affairs Committee, Councilmember Eileen Y. Paley, Chairperson. Committee members Ryan, Klein, President Ginther. Environment Committee, Councilmember Fran Ryan, Chairperson. Committee members Page, Hardin, President Ginther. Technology Committee, Councilmember Fran Ryan, Chairperson. Committee members Hardin, Paley, President Ginther. Rules and Reference Committee, Council President Andrew J. Ginther, Chairperson. Committee members Klein, Hardin, and Page. Zoning Committee, Council President Andrew J. Ginther, Chairperson. Committee members Klein, Hardin, Page, Paley, Ryan, and Tyson.
Thank you, Clerk Blevins. Any resolutions or announcements from members of council? Councilmember Hardin? Councilmember Klein?
Council President, I'd just like to take the moment to welcome Councilmember Ryan to City Council chambers. She, as I was stating earlier, is like the John Glenn of City Council members. You know, John Glenn's been in space twice, and Fran Ryan's been on council twice. So thank you for stepping up to the plate and serving out the remainder of this year.
It's like Godspeed, Fran Ryan. Is that right? Welcome, Councilmember Ryan. Councilmember Page? Councilmember Paley?
Thank you, Council President Ginther. I have a couple resolutions and some announcements. First, I have Ordinance 0213X 2015, and I would like to take that from the table.
Hardin, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
And I would like to table again until October 5th.
Hardin, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
I have Ordinance 0225X 2015. And to recognize and celebrate the retirement of Miss Janet Lanza. Miss Lanza, will you and your family approach the podium? The resolution documents your incredible career and service to the City of Columbus. I'm not going to read the whole very long resolution, but I just want to mention a few things. First, you have been with the City of Columbus for 43 years. That is incredible. Thank you for your service. You have also served as the city's chief negotiator and/or second chair for more than 30 sets of negotiations. And you have done it in such a way that some of these labor organizations that are here in chambers to show their appreciation of you is also amazing. Also mentioned in your resolution are your service as president of the Ohio Public Employee Labor Relations Association. Another aspect of your outstanding leadership in your field is the fact that you served as a member of the board of directors for the National Public Employee Labor Relations Council. I understand that you are only the second Ohioan to be elected to that national leadership seat. Congratulations on your many accomplishments. First, I move for passage.
Hardin, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Ms. Lanza, the floor is yours.
Thank you. President Ginther, Councilmember Paley, and members of council, thank you for this recognition. It has been a privilege and an honor to serve the City of Columbus. I've touched many lives, and many more lives have touched mine. There are too many people over the years to mention and thank, but I especially want to thank Mayor Coleman and the mayors before him under which I served. Mr. Dorian, who has always been a friend to me, my director, Nikki Brandon, my former director, Chet Christie, the Department of Human Resources staff, and especially the Labor Relations staff, the Department of Human Resources officers and managers throughout the city, the union leadership, past and present, and of course my family for their patience, support, and understanding over the years. Thank you again, and I pray for continued success and prosperity for the city and its employees. Thank you.
Could you introduce your family who explained, your husband explained to me that he is finally getting you back from the city.
That he is. My husband, Vince Lanza, my granddaughter, Cicely Lanza, my daughter, Adrienne Lanza, and my future daughter-in-law, Carrie Lenhart.
Well, congratulations. I do see that Director Christie is in the audience, as well as Chip Moore and anybody else? And Nikki and Director Brandon here to support you also. Any comments from council members? Council President Ginther.
Thank you, Councilmember Paley. Just want to say thank you for all of your great service and work on behalf of the city. We wouldn't be where we are, and we wouldn't have the amazing people that we have without your leadership and commitment throughout the years. So on behalf of a grateful city, we say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, Chairwoman Paley. Ms. Lanza, I just want to say thank you for giving 43 years of your life to Columbus, to not only the city of Columbus, but to the residents of Columbus, and especially, though, to the employees of the city of Columbus. Human resources is such a key department within the city government and within any organization because of the great people that you work with each and every day to make sure that each individual that works for the city has, the great benefits, that you're there for them. And so just appreciate you, because without you, we wouldn't have these great employees with the city. I'm glad to recognize Director Christie that's here supporting you, and of course, Director Brandon. But again, thank you for your years of service. Thank you to your family, because we know that these jobs certainly are ones that you don't leave when you walk out the door, that you are so committed to this work, and it's demonstrated by her giving 43 years of her life to this organization, to the city. So thank you, family, for allowing your mom, your future mother-in-law, your wife, your grandmother to serve us. We really appreciate that you have loaned her to us. And I just wish you the very best as you move forward in retirement, and enjoy the rest of your life. Thank you, and Godspeed to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would be remiss if I didn't express Team Paley's pleasure in working with you and your director, and how we will miss you. Keep us up to date on the fun things that you're doing out there, and the wedding, I'm assuming. So, absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Lanza.
Thank you.
I am so glad that our prayer today actually sent prayers to the family of Miss Mitchell, who did pass away, and I had the honor of bringing a Black Line resolution to her husband and family during the showing on Friday. Sherry Mitchell was a huge contribution to the city of Columbus, and definitely the arts in Columbus, and we did do a resolution on consent. So our prayers from City Council are with the family of Ms. Mitchell. And I have one more announcement. One of my biggest events is coming up Saturday, October 3rd. We will hold our 6th annual Neighborhood Best Practices Conference. It begins at 7:30 a.m. and will be held at the Columbus Downtown High School, which is located at 364 South 4th Street. The cost is only $5, and you can still register at www.liveunitedcentralohio.org. However, it usually sells out, so sign up quickly. This is an interactive conference where we all learn from community members who share their successes about how they are working with their neighborhoods and issues with their neighborhoods. I hope to see all our great community leaders at Neighborhood Best Practices. See you on Saturday. Thank you, President Ginther.
Thank you, Council Member Paley. Council Member Ryan, any announcements or anything you want to share this evening?
The red button. We didn't have red buttons. Thank you very much, President Ginther. I'd like to begin by thanking you and my fellow council members for allowing me to return to my first public office. And I've come a long way, and the city has come a long way since I was originally on this council. But many things have remained the same, and it's been good that I have been able to see that change working with the senior citizens that I have in the last few years. And I care about the city, and I'm happy to return to service. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your generation of council members. And I also want to thank, and they were here earlier to see me sworn in along with Father Lutz, who is my pastor, Cindy Farson and Tony Carroll, for reintroducing me to the work of our seniors and the continuation of our roundtable. And I've also like to thank my family, my husband, who has twice seen me sworn in, and my son Tom, and my grandchildren who held the Bible for me today. So I want to thank you all, and it's been a pleasure. And I've always said this is the living room of the city. And I'd like to mention that Mr. Smoot is here. And Mr. Smoot was the person who gave me the project manager to do this beautiful chamber, and he was here tonight, and it was such a pleasure. Mr. Smoot, where are you? Stand up. Where are you? He's right there. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Smoot, for the service that you gave the city of Columbus in this beautiful renovation. Thank you. Thank you, President.
Well, Councilmember Ryan, we're thrilled to have you join us. And to the Ryan family, thanks for letting the city borrow her again. And we promise to return her one day. Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, President Ginther. I have an announcement. Tomorrow, Tuesday, September the 29th, at 4 p.m., I will convene a committee hearing of Finance, Health, and Human Services and Workforce Development. And you will hear legislation that will appear on the city's agenda for the coming weeks. During the hearing, there will also be a special presentation by Primary One Health, in which Executive Director Charlita Tavares will discuss Primary One's new name, the reasoning for such, as well as a brief history of the organization. Also provide us with an overview of services they provide and other special recognitions. And once that presentation has concluded, the hearing will follow the usual order of events. On hand to make remarks to address the questions will be Paul Rakowski, Director of the Department of Finance, Assistant Commissioner Roger Cloran of the Columbus Public Health, and Hannah Reed, who's Special Projects Coordinator for the Department of Development. So all interested citizens who are invited to come down to give public testimony, you must be here between 8 and 4 to fill out speaker slips. And that's all I have. Thank you, President Ginther.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Any comments from our elected officials? Mr. Dorian? City Attorney Pfeiffer? Judge Barros, anything from the courts? At this time, I would like the following ordinance removed from the consent action portion of the agenda in the Public Service and Transportation Committee. Ordinance 2209-2015. Are there any other requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of the titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Hardin, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 2065, 2080, 2182, 2187, 2193, 2199, 2235, 2236, 2237, 2306-2015. Development Committee, ordinances 2338 and 2362-2015. Technology Committee, ordinance 2307-2015. Zoning Committee, ordinances 2267, 2334, and 2357-2015.
The following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent actions. Will the clerk now read the ordinance numbers of each into the record?
Resolutions of expression 228X, 230X, 231X-2015. Finance Committee, ordinances 2156, 2157, 2217, 2221, 2281, 2324, 2329, 2341-2015. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinance 2276-2015, 2296, 2299-2015. Public Service and Transportation Committee, resolution 218X-2015, ordinances 2078, 2184, 2201, 2209, not 2209, that one was removed, 2212, 2213, 2332, 2337, 2339-2015. Public Safety, ordinances 2094 and 2174-2015. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 1816, 1896, 2029, 2040, 2042, 2073, 2111, 2116, 2135, 2141, and 2196-2015. Development Committee, ordinances 2151, 2270, 2280, 2287, 2288, 2289, 2290, 2291, 2359-2015. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinance 2205-2015. Administration Committee, ordinance 2282-2015. Judiciary and Court Administration Committee, ordinance 2292-2015. Technology Committee, ordinance 2163-2015. And appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, and 170-2015.
Thank you, Clerk Blevins. We do have one speaker on the consent agenda this evening, Mr. Nathaniel George Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to Council Chambers. If you would come forward and share your name, address, any organizations you represent. You have signed up to speak in support of 2289-2015. You have 3 minutes, sir.
1612 Arlington Avenue, the chairman of solely vacant and abandoned property in North Linden area. I just want to know what's going to happen with 1459 Southfield Drive. I would like to know what the property is going to be used for, how long it's been sitting in a land bank, and what it will be used for. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Any questions or comments for Mr. Wilkins from council members? Director Shoney, any information that you can offer us regarding 2289 this evening?
Thank you, President Ginther, members of council. That house is being sold to a private developer who's going to rehab it and turn around and sell it for home ownership.
Thank you. Any questions for the administration or Director Shoney? Seeing none, any further discussion, comments, questions regarding the consent agenda? Councilmember Ryan?
President Ginther, I'd like, with the exception of 2217, 2015, and 2221. No, okay. No, and 2015. Abstain, yes.
If there's any other questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion for approval of these items designated as consent actions.
So moved.
Clerk, call the roll by voice.
Harden. Klein. Page. Paley.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes, with the exception of 2217, 2015, and 2221, 2015, of which I am abstaining.
Tyson,
Yes.
President Ginther.
Yes, consent agenda carries. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day table and emergency legislation. The first committee is the Finance Committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The first ordinance I have is 2131-2015, and it is to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into contracts with other political subdivisions to provide fleet management services. Before I read the rest of that legislation, I just want to mention that this legislation is another piece of legislation that in 2011 that the administration and working with the Department of Finance and Steve Campbell worked together to begin to work with other municipalities to do shared services. And this legislation, and additionally another piece of legislation, would be a demonstration of how we're working with other municipalities to be able to utilize the city services. We already are doing that in a significant way with the Department of Safety, certainly with our fire services, but there's other services that we certainly are working with other municipalities. And so with that, this legislation, again, is to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into contracts with other political subdivisions to provide fleet management services. The Department of Finance and Management desires to enter into an intergovernmental agreement as permitted under the Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.482, with other political subdivisions for various fleet management services as part of the city's commitment to shared regional cooperation. This contract with the City of Columbus for fleet services with the City of Reynoldsburg is interested, may not have the capacity or operational size to perform their work internally. And so we want to establish rates, procedures, and mechanisms to allow the repair, general maintenance, and upkeep of the general fleet services to other political subdivisions. This particular ordinance will initially work with the City of Reynoldsburg, which wishes to contract with fleet management to repair and maintain its police pursuit motorcycles. And the billing rates will be established on the basis of rates established by the finance director, commensurate with internal billing rates to all city agencies. So we're really excited about this legislation and to be working with the City of Reynoldsburg. As you know, we have an amazing fleet department that has gotten so many awards, and so we're really happy to be able to share our wonderful services of fleet management with other municipalities. And so we're excited to be hopefully working with the City of Reynoldsburg. And with that, I'd move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 2136-2015. It's to authorize the Finance and Management Director to establish various purchase orders for automotive parts and supplies with Genuine Parts / NAPA, to authorize the Finance and Management Director to enter into a contract with the Dexter Company, local equipment and quality truck and body for snow parts, to increase previously established auditor certificates from the Fleet Management Fund for emergency repair services or parts, and to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the City Code 329 for the same. To authorize the expenditure of $499,628.85 from the Fleet Management Fund and to declare an emergency. The Fleet Management Division is budgeted to spend in excess of $4.3 million for parts and over $1.3 million for services to keep the city's fleet of approximately 6,000 vehicles in operation. The Fleet Management processes over 40,000 work orders annually for all city vehicles and equipment, with purchase orders with over 400 vendors. This legislation, again, will be, as I mentioned, for the different parts for our fleet management team, and we're asking to waive competitive bidding because oftentimes there may be an emergency that may happen that we don't have the parts to be able to fix the vehicle, and we would need to go out and get the proper parts to be able to make sure that our equipment is ready for our city employees to be able to do their jobs, to provide their services to our community. And so with that, I would ask for the approval of my council colleagues.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 2278-2015. It's to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into contracts with other political subdivisions to provide print services. And again, it will be under the Ohio Revised Code 9.482 with other political subdivisions for various print services as the city's commitment to shared services. A number of political subdivisions provide print services for their internal operations, but would like to have authority to contract with the City of Columbus for print services that they may not have the capacity or the operational size to perform internally. And so, again, we're excited about this opportunity to work with other municipalities. And with that, I would ask my council members for their approval. So I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Thank you. And the last ordinance in finance is ordinance number 2297-2015. It's to authorize the Finance and Management Director to enter into one contract for the option to purchase waste disposal services of hazardous and non-hazardous materials with Clemtron Corporation to waive competitive bidding for the provisions of Chapter 329 of the City Code, and to authorize expenditure of $1 to establish the contract from the general fund and to declare an emergency. This particular contract will primarily be used by the Fleet Management Division. The estimated total expenditure is $170,000. And I'm going to ask Mr. Adam Robbins to share the reason we are waiving competitive bidding. Mr. Robbins.
Thanks, Council Chair Tyson, President Ginther, members of council. With this ordinance, a bid waiver is requested in order to award to Chemtron Corporation, the company providing the lowest overall pricing. Purpose for waiving competitive bidding is due to an error by the city in our bid specifications. We were asking for a quantity that was much greater than we would ever require, and we needed to clarify with the bidder that their per gallon price would not be different for a lesser quantity. The company confirmed their per gallon pricing for us. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Robbins? Seeing none, I would move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Our next committee is the Public Service and Transportation Committee. Councilmember Harden chairs that committee. Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Ginther. This evening in Public Service and Transportation Committee, I have Resolution 0214X-2015 to declare the city's immediate necessity and intent to appropriate and accept in the names of the city, Franklin County, Coda, and Westerville, as the case may be, for certain fees, simple title, and lesser real property interest in order for the City Department of Public Service to timely complete the FRA Coda Cleveland Avenue BRT Public Improvement Project and to declare an emergency. First, I would like to request to take from table.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Then I would like to move for passage by voice vote.
Harden,
Yes.
Second.
Harden,
Yes.
Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson,
Abstain.
President Ginther.
Thank you. And please, I move for consideration now.
Second.
Harden,
Yes.
Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson,
Abstain.
President Ginther.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 2314-2015 to amend the 2015 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation between projects within the Streets and Highway Bonds Fund, to authorize the city auditor to transfer funds between the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund and the Federal State Highway Engineering Fund, to authorize the city auditor to appropriate funds within the Federal State Highway Engineering Fund, to authorize the city attorney's real estate division to contract for professional services services relative to the acquisition of fee simple title and lesser interest into property needed for roadway improvements, Lozelle Road project, and negotiate with property owners to acquire the additional right-of-ways, to authorize the expenditure of up to $2,592,907 from the Federal State Highway Engineering Fund, and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions or concerns, I move for passage.
Second.
Harden, Klein, Page, Bailey, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
And lastly, we'll go back to consent page 7. I have ordinance 2209-2015 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to establish purchase orders for the purchase of 5 hot patch inserts, Koffenberger Truck Equipment Company, and 1 vacuum trailer from the Vermeer Heartland Inc. to authorize the expenditure of $109,850,000 from the Street and Highways Bonds Fund, and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions, concerns from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Bailey, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
That is all we have in my committee this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harden. Our next committee is the Public Utilities Committee. Councilmember Klein chairs that committee. Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. First piece in public utilities tonight is 1766-2015 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to modify an existing professional engineering agreement with Burgess & Nyepel for the SWWTP SEPT disinfection project, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of funds from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to the Sanitary Sewer General Obligation Bond Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $2,245,142 from the Sanitary Sewer General Obligation Bond Fund. Director Davies.
Chairman Klein, President Ginther, members of council, this is an exciting project. Our Southerly wastewater treatment plant is the larger of our 2 plants, and what this will allow us to do is, in times of heavy rain, there are times where we have to discharge into the river before we can treat the sewage that is coming into our plant. By adding this onto our plant in times of heavy rain, we will get primary treatment on that waste that is going into the river, and dramatically reduce the impact of that to the stream.
Now, if I recall, Director Davies, was there a companion piece last week that had to do with something similar to this?
Yes, we have 3 different projects. It was such a large project that we broke it into 3 different design projects, so this is the second of 3.
Okay. If I recall, that project was environmentally sound. It was a great win for the environment as well for the ratepayers.
Yep, as part of Blueprint Columbus, the EPA asked us to do this as well as the green infrastructure that we're proposing, so we got going on this early.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the good director? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Bailey, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Don't get any ideas, Shoney. Next is 2086-2015, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to execute a planned contract modification of the 2014 to 2016 Construction Administration and Construction Inspection Services Agreement with DLZ. For 3 Division of Water projects, to authorize the appropriation and transfer and expenditure in the amount of the $1,131,456.01 within the Water Permanent Improvements Fund, and to authorize an amendment to the 2015 Capital Improvements Budget. Director?
Chairman Klein, President Ginther, members of council, every time we construct a project, we are required to have it inspected by a professional. Typically, we use our colleagues in public service, but when we have work that exceeds their workforce, we contract that out, and this is one of those contracts.
Okay. We do have one speaker, Maudie Grace. Is Miss Grace here? Good to see you, Miss Grace.
Good evening, President Ganther, the other council persons. I'm here, I'm in agreement and approval of any improvements to my area. But I'm also very concerned about the drainage systems in which I'm sure the government has placed on the city. But we have a large drainage problem within the Moeller area, and I've spoken to Mr. Harding about it. and I've called your office, and I'm yet to get a response that my people feel that's appropriate. So I would ask that I be able to meet with you all and show you the problem so that we can get this resolved, because I do not want to keep coming to you about the same issue. And that's the Mola area where we have the deep drainage area, and we're supposed to be having sidewalks put in, and we do not want sidewalks put in over a problem.
Any other, I want to make sure we respect your time because you have 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Are you?
I'm through.
Okay. Do either of the Davies' directors want to address this issue?
Chairman Klein, President Ginther, members of council, I'd be happy to discuss this with her after work. I'm not sure if it's a street or if it's actually the drains in the area. We may have a project already in the works. I'm not familiar with the specific area, but Pam O'Grady as well, my assistant director, can meet with her in the hallway right now as well to get some information.
Yeah, if it's okay with you, Director, can you and Deputy Director O'Grady, upon completion of the utilities agenda, meet with Ms. Grace in the hallway to discuss this issue?
Absolutely.
And I'd be happy to meet with you in addition to this if you find that the resolution isn't satisfactory.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this particular item? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Next is 2089-2015 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to execute a construction contract with Connie Construction for the Deland Avenue Area Waterline Improvements Project, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $2,537,190.19 from the Water System Reserve Fund to the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund, and to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of $2,537,190.19 within the Water Supply Revolving Loan Fund and for the Division of Water. Any questions or comments about this water line improvement project? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Next is 2109-2015 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with FYDA Freightliner Columbus for the purchase of single-axle truck-mounted hydro excavator with dedicated CNG for the Division of Water, and to authorize the expenditure of $355,497 from the Water Operating Fund to waive competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, Chapter 329. The waiving competitive bidding provisions, Director?
Chairman Klein, President Ginther, members of council, we bid this, and the company here was the lowest and best bid. We added an addendum to the original RFP that we put out, and when we do that, whoever replies to the bid has to acknowledge that they received the addendum. They did not specifically state that they received the addendum, though their proposal, clearly they included all the work that we asked for in the addendum, so they had seen it, they just didn't acknowledge they received it. And since they were the low bid, in order to get them under contract, purchasing requires us to meet code by waiving competitive bidding on
So
it.
the company met all specifications, just didn't acknowledge that they did, but it was built into their bid?
Correct. They
Okay.
didn't specifically put in writing that they received the addendum, but it was clear they received it because of their bid.
Okay. Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments? I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Moving on to development. 2176-2015 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a professional services agreement with Neighborhood Design Center for up to $12,000 to gather neighborhood consensus on streetscape design concepts for the Westgate neighborhood, to authorize the expenditure of $12,000 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to waive the competitive bidding provision of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. Director Shoney, and I know co-sponsor Andy Ginther may want to comment on this.
Mr. Chair, President Ginther, members of council, this piece of legislation is in order to fund the Neighborhood Design Center to do a outreach program on West Broad Street in the Westgate area to get started on a streetscape project. It's something that we've been working through for a number of years. I want to thank President Ginther and his staff, as well as your team, for their work in bringing us to this point. We're very excited about getting started on this project.
Council President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick word of thanks to you for bringing this forward. This is another item that came from our neighborhood meetings that we've been doing out in the community, and all of us, I think, heard from some of the folks associated with this at our last meeting, and appreciate the administration's cooperation and support in getting this done for the people of Westgate.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I think this does highlight the fact of how important our community meetings are and how ideas and comments and concerns that are born out of our community meetings, the most recent one up at Westgate Park, can shed some light on issues and concerns and ideas to beautify and improve neighborhoods, as evidenced by 2176-2015, which allows the Neighborhood Design Center to work with neighborhoods in the Westgate area for design and improvement. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
2262-2015 to list the 373 to 75 West Rich Street property on the Columbus Register of Historic Properties as CR number 67 and to declare an emergency. I'd first like to remove from the table by voice vote.
Harden, Klein.
Yes.
Page. Paley. Ryan. Tyson.
Abstain.
President Ginther.
Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, President Ginther, members of council. This is a piece that I'm particularly excited about. When I started as a development director a little over 2 years ago, we were told that these two buildings, which are the two, I refer to them as the skinny warehouses up hard against the tracks on the backside of Strong Water and 400 Rich Street in Franklinton, I was told that these buildings were unsavable. I was also told that these buildings would never be suitable for offices, and we would never have office going into Franklinton. Both of those things have been proven wrong. We are going to be listing this project on the Historic Register. The plans are for a developer to come in and rehab these buildings for use as office. I think it's a great sign of the turnaround that we're seeing in Franklinton. This is immediately adjacent to the development that Casto and the team that Casto has put together on the former Riverside Bradley housing project site that council has taken legislation on with us, I think, right before break. So we're very excited about this, and thank you for all of the council members' support on this issue.
Any other questions or comments? I move for passage by voice vote.
Harden. Klein.
Yes.
Page. Paley. Ryan. Tyson.
Abstain.
President Ginther.
2265-2015 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a jobs growth incentive agreement with Middle West Spirits, LLC, equal to 25% of the amount of new income tax withheld on employees for a term up to 5 years in consideration of investing approximately $2,965,000 related to leasehold improvements, the acquisition of furniture and fixtures, machinery and equipment, standalone computers, retaining 5 full-time permanent positions and adding 25 new full-time permanent positions. Director, do you want to add anything beyond the text about this job growth incentive?
Mr. Chairman, President Ginther, members of council, only that we do not have samples this evening, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, so we'll close the happy hour post-council. Let everyone, the clerk, take note that the happy hour is closed after council. Oh yes, Councilmember Tyson.
Yes, Chairman Klein, I'm pretty excited about this legislation from the standpoint that it's going to certainly continue to help support the legislation we passed previously around Milo Grogan, and to be able to have 15 more jobs in that area, and certainly looking at just the salary ranges of the jobs. I mean, we always talking about $15 is a great a dollar amount or hourly rate for individuals to be able to begin to move forward within their lives within the city of Columbus and really around the country. So I'm just looking at the dollar amounts, and surely there are a few that are $14.42, that's close to 15, and the rest of them are pretty significant. So I'm just really appreciative of those jobs, the training positions, and being in Milo Grogan, because with that community continue to move forward. So thank you for your work, Chairman Klein, and thank you for your work, Director Shoney. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
2376, 2015, to authorize the Director of Department of Development on behalf of the City of Columbus to execute those documents as approved by the Department of Law, Division of Real Estate, necessary to enter an option agreement or contract for the sale of 1267 to 1271 Mount Vernon Avenue, to allow an assignment of the contract, and to execute a quitclaim deed and any ancillary documents as may be necessary to transfer title thereto to Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority or Central Ohio Community Improvement Corporation in exchange for the payment of $9,600 and to declare an emergency. Director.
Mr. Chairman, President Ginther, members of council, this is in the PACT Poindexter redevelopment. This is taking some parcels that we have in the land bank that council has previously authorized us to transfer to Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority and adding to the list of eligible transferees the Central Ohio Community Improvement Corp, COSIC, which is otherwise known as the County Land Bank. Doing this action will facilitate us transferring these in a way that allows the redevelopment in that area, the Choice Neighborhoods redevelopment, to go forward on a quicker basis for some technical land transfer reasons.
Any questions or comments for the Director? First, like to amend the 30 days by voice vote.
Second.
Harden. Klein.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Paley. Ryan. Tyson.
Abstain.
President Ginther.
Waive second reading the same, Council President.
Second.
Harden. Klein.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Paley. Ryan. Tyson.
Abstain.
President Ginther.
And then pass as amended to reflect the 30-day legislation by voice vote.
Second.
Harden. Klein.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Paley. Ryan. Tyson.
Abstain.
President Ginther.
That wraps up development. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Klein. Our next committee is the Recreation and Parks Committee. Councilmember Page chairs that committee. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Ginther. This evening in Recreation and Parks, we have 3 ordinances, all that would support the capital improvements projects at Franklin Park, the Columbus Museum of Art, and the Columbus Metropolitan Library. And I will read each ordinance. 2195-2015, to authorize and direct the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a service contract with Franklin Park Conservatory for the implementation of the Franklin Park Master Plan in the amount of $1,500,000. To authorize the expenditure of $1,500,000 from the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund and to declare an emergency. I would urge my colleagues to support this legislation. It is the first phase of a few phases to support the improvements to the Community Outreach Center at Franklin Park. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Harden. Klein. Page. Paley. Ryan. Tyson. President Ginther.
Ordinance 2211-2015, to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to make payment to the Columbus Museum of Art as part of existing grant agreement, to authorize the expenditure of $1,500,000 from the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund and to declare an emergency. This $1,500,000 represents the final phase of the project to support the improvements at the Columbus Museum of Art. And if there are no questions or comments, Councilwoman Tyson?
Thank you, Chairwoman Page. I just want to make a comment on all 3 pieces of legislation that you're really only talking about this evening. It's because all the pieces of legislation, when you think about $1.5 million for each of them, or close to that they're all, we need to talk about how they support our community. And they support our community in a significant way. From the Outreach Center, as you just mentioned, at Franklin Park Conservatory, how important that is to the community that's within that neighborhood, as well as all the other kind of educational outreach that will happen within those facilities. Also with the Columbus Museum of Art, we're supporting this legislation with that public public space, as well as they certainly have lots of free programs for the community to come in and to be able to have an appreciation of the art and the quality of life. And certainly the one that you're going to do next with the library, how important it is for individuals in terms of workforce development, in terms of just being able to have access to all the different tools that are at the library. So this legislation is certainly significant legislation for all of our community residents to be able to have great places to be able to go and to enhance their quality of life. So I just appreciate you presenting the legislation this evening that makes this community a great place. So thank you for your leadership in this legislation.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
And the final ordinance this evening in Recreation and Parks, 2225-2015, to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a grant agreement with the Columbus Metropolitan Library, to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to accept a non-exclusive permanent easement for public access from the Columbus Metropolitan Library, to authorize the expenditure of $1,333,000 from the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. As Councilmember Tyson noted, this is to support the improvements to the Columbus Metropolitan Library and the open access that they now are going to have with the Topiary Park as well. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Thank you. That's all we have in Recreation and Parks this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember Page. Our next committee is the Technology Committee. Councilmember Ryan chairs that committee. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
To do that, to authorize Ordinance 1435-2015 is to authorize the Director of Department of Technology on behalf of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a contract for software support provided by Milestone Utility Services, Inc. for the Department of Public Utilities mobile dispatching system in accordance with sole source, and to authorize expenditure of $17,000 from the Department of Technology Internal Services Fund $17,000. If there are no questions, I move for the passage.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
That is all I have in the committee, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember Ryan. In our next committee is the Rules and Reference Committee. I chair the committee, and we have SR 1993-2015 to adjust the boundaries of the Greater Southeast Area Commission by amending the description of the north boundary line contained in Columbus City Code Section 3111.20. Any questions, comments regarding this evening? If not, move for passage. Clerk, call the roll.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
Passed. Anything else to come before council this evening? I know we have, I believe, 8 non-agenda speakers. We'll take the first 6 that are present. But Councilmember Ryan?
I think that Mr. Smoot is in the audience now, and I wanted to thank him again for all the efforts he's put in 1986 for this beautiful chamber. And Mr. Smoot, there you are. Okay, thank you. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Councilmember Ryan. If there's nothing else to come before council, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Harden, Klein, Page, Paley, Ryan, Tyson, President Ginther.
We stand adjourned. We will take non-agenda speakers momentarily.